So I'm going to talk about um, I'm going to talk about some of our strategies with respect to energy efficiency, and as well, I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we face. Not just we, but by we I mean the global economy. Um, so this is just a brief background on us. So what we are doing is we're a private company which has identified and quantified the energy reduction, the value of energy reduction assets throughout the world in different states in the United States and in different countries. And then we manage, in essence, a private equity fund which is focused on financing creating, overcoming the barriers to building an energy reduction asset market, and in essence, financing the rollout of energy efficiency technologies as well as um, companies, emerging startups, and expanding the offerings in the space. Uh, so, uh, so that's our focus as a firm. So, oops. Okay. Well, so if you take a look, how many people have seen this McKinsey curve? It's interesting. It's new for most of you. So if you take a look at let me explain what this actually means. So this is a list of, it's what they call a tornado chart. And if you look at energy efficiency, everything on the left is all the measures that could be achieved that are profitable to achieve. So that 90 down there, this is just the US market, and there's an international version as well. So that 90 down there, that means that that measure, which in this case is commercial electronics, that for people, if people replace their commercial electronics, that it would profit them $90 per ton of carbon dioxide reduced. So it means that the benefit of replacing commercial electronics is $90 a ton, and the amount that can be achieved is the width of the box. So for a profit of $90 a ton, in this case, roughly it's roughly 0.2 gigatons of carbon emissions could be reduced if we were to fully implement that opportunity. Is that clear? Have I articulated that clearly? I get a sense maybe. But the message in this slide is that if you look at the carbon reduction opportunity, you can see that in the United States alone, and in Europe it's roughly similar, that in the United States alone, that we could profit $50 billion a year, an average of $45 a ton of carbon, if we were to implement all of the energy efficiency opportunities. So on the left there, that's the specific measures that we would need to take in our economy to actually profit those dollars. Now on the right, what you'll see is renewable generation. That actually, so once you go over that zero matrix, it costs you money to do carbon mitigation, to do carbon reduction. So energy efficiency is by far the least expensive fuel. In fact, it's profitable to do every piece of energy efficiency that you can possibly do. Yet, we're not doing it. Why? Specifically, the place where we're having most of the challenges is in the small and medium enterprises. We have not integrated energy efficiency into the small and medium enterprises. One of the challenges is financing. Another issue is that the alternatives, all of the market revenues, are not accessed. And a third is that the folks who make the decision with respect to whether they're going to upgrade a facility, they aren't experts. They don't necessarily believe that they're going to achieve the energy efficiency. So we did a survey of vendors, specifically vendors who are in the energy efficiency space. So 55% don't guarantee the savings. That goes to the issue of belief, that people don't believe that you will achieve what you say you are going to achieve. Most don't guarantee the savings. 3/4 of them told us that they would sell more, they would do more if we did guarantee the savings. Most of them end up doing very few projects each year, and they would do more if they guaranteed the savings. Yeah. These are specifically vendors, folks who are selling energy efficiency products, but would, in theory, sell more if we could guarantee the savings. And then many, actually most of the projects are small. And most of those lack access to financing. Okay. So take a look at that. That once you're up to above $500,000, most people have access to financing. But as you're below, it's very difficult to get financing for the projects. So what are we doing with respect to this? We've set up, in essence, a loan loss reserve. So any vendor who wants to do a project, if they want to get a $10 million line of credit, if they want to get a $5 million line of credit, we're asking them to put up, in essence, a loan loss reserve of roughly 10 to 15% of the line of credit that they want. In essence, they're in the room making the decision. We want to be able to encourage the vendors to be able to make that decision to finance the energy efficiency project when they're actually standing there in the room engaging with the counterparty. So we've asked them to put up a loan loss reserve. Then they can make the decision with respect to will they finance the product. And then at the same time, as we've been working with these vendors, we have qualified just precisely what the energy efficiency project that they do. So we've qualified with vendors a list of projects that they can then independently decide whether they will finance. And then we will guarantee the savings. So it's an issue of in the room, they can make that decision to finance an energy efficiency, energy reduction project, and as well, we will guarantee the savings from that energy efficiency project. Now, what about servicing that? Because the other issue that we have seen is that it's expensive to service these small. Okay. So what we're setting up is that, in essence, the retailer, we will put the repayment of that loan, of the energy efficiency loan, onto the retailer's bill. So we're guaranteeing that the bill will go down. We're allowing the vendor to make an independent decision with respect to who is worthy of financing and who is not. And then we're placing the obligations to pay back the quote-unquote loan for the energy efficiency project on the bill. So that servicing is happening through the electricity retailer. That's just one strategy. That's just one approach that we're using. So how is this being dealt with throughout the globe? We see white certificate markets that are functioning quite effectively in France, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the white certificate structure. How many people here understand the white certificate structure, how it actually works? Great, gives me an opportunity. So the way the white certificate structure works is that somebody has to buy energy efficiency. So let's say the portfolio standard says 20%. The electricity retailer who sells 100 units of electricity actually has to purchase 20 units for every 100 units of electricity that they sell of energy efficiency. So it creates a market in which the supplier is actually purchasing energy efficiency. And so if you in your home were to reduce your consumption by 10% and you use, let's say, 10,000 kilowatt hours a year, you can actually sell 1,000 kilowatt hours of energy efficiency certificates to the electricity retailer. So it allows you to have a fungible energy efficiency asset that you can sell. And those are selling in France for roughly 3 cents per kilowatt hour, which means that if you are saving a megawatt hour, that you'll get paid, that a retailer will actually pay you $30 for that megawatt hour that you save. And so you can trade it, you can sell it, you can do anything with your white certificate. It solves the issue of fungibility, that energy efficiency can't be traded between and among facilities. There are markets where permanent demand reduction is sold as a capacity asset. So in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, which is actually 15 states, not 3, if you reduce a megawatt from your peak consumption, you can actually sell it in as a power plant resource for roughly $80,000 a year for the, in PJM, it's for the 4 years that that measure is in place. In New England, you can actually sell it in for 15 years, sometimes as long as 25 years, and you're earning $45,000 a year for that megawatt that you reduce. You sell it in just like it's a capacity resource. That again takes the challenge of not being able to sell your energy efficiency and resolves that challenge. One of the approaches that we've taken in the United States is this property assessed clean energy. It's a really fascinating concept, which is that the towns are passing ordinances throughout the United States such that if you do an energy efficiency loan, that loan takes a senior lien position on your property. It's collected along with your property taxes, and it's attached to specifically the facility, so you're not having to go through a credit check. The value of your building itself backs up the loan obligation. And then, of course, the on-bill finance approach that we're taking with free market retailers. Well, many of the in the United Kingdom, it's called the Green Deal, where you're allowed to put any energy efficiency upgrades on your bill, and then that is attached to your bill, not to your own credit. So if you sell the house, the obligation goes with you. And then, I'm sorry about this animation. It's I can't figure out why 2 bullets are going up, but please. And the other thing is municipalization. A lot of communities are taking this into their own hands. And in the United States, it's called community choice aggregation. And in essence, it's folks who are setting up their own independent utilities. But the way they're doing it is with a law in the United States. It's called community choice aggregation, which says that if a town decides to become their own utility, 100% of the folks are moved over to that utility for their electricity purchase, unless they actively choose not to be moved over, but they actually have to, check off a box and reply to the letter and say, I don't want to be part of this utility. And what that allows the town to do is they can themselves set up microgrids and finance that on the bill. They can finance renewable generation and decide, we're buying 1,000 megawatt hours. Well, 100 megawatt hours of this is going to be purchased from this renewable generator that we're actually building ourselves. So it actually sets up a financing mechanism for renewable generation. And it as well gives the town themselves the opportunity to take many of these energy efficiency challenges into their own hands. And in, for instance, Marin County, they've set up a host, Marin County, California, they've set up a host of energy efficiency programs through their community choice aggregator. They simply believe that they can do a better job with local engagement and local participation. And in fact, our story in Westchester County is that neighbor to neighbor is the key challenge. So prior to our neighbor to neighbor energy efficiency program, we were doing roughly 1/5 of the per capita energy efficiency projects compared to New York State. But when we built our neighbor to neighbor project, which is in 7 New York State counties, our rate of energy efficiency went from 1/5 that of the state to 4 times that of the state within 2 years. So the whole concept of creating a normative process where it is expected that you will achieve the energy efficiency, I think, is the ultimate solution. It's neighbor to neighbor. Okay, thanks a lot. Sorry for the delay.